Hey, this is JD of JD's Mancave, coming at you again tonight on a big old Saturday night. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.
Hey, what's going on, y'all? This is JD of JD's Man Cave, and I'm here again on Saturday night, 7 o'clock, as we usually show up. And it's been a wonderful day here in Houston today. The weather has been wonderful. I've gotten a lot of things done. My wife and I ran around all day today and took care of this and took care of that. And we ended up right back here in the Man Cave, where I am here to talk with you guys about just some issues that have been going on with Texas, the United States, and Houston in particular. But yeah, we have a lot of topics that we need to get to tonight, and I'm not sure if any of the guests will join us tonight, but if not, we will still continue with this show. Tell you what, we have a big election coming up on the 3rd. So it would be remiss for me not to talk about the importance and the fact that we need to get out and make our voices heard this year as Black Americans and as the Black United States of America. Because too many times our issues are not talked about, are not addressed, or not in the forefront, or not important to politicians. They feel like we are not important enough to be what they call it, prevalent in the voting situation. And I get so sick and tired of, Black Americans, we say crazy things like, oh, my vote don't count anyway, or hey, I ain't getting out there and voting until they put somebody there that I think is worth it, and the thing about that is that's really crazy on our part, because when you don't vote, you have actually nullified yourself and taken yourself smooth out of the game. So, if you're not in the game, you certainly can't win the game, that's for sure, if you don't even play it. And the thing about it is, I don't understand how Black people can feel like our vote isn't important. Because let me tell you something, if our vote wasn't important, then they wouldn't try so hard to keep us from voting. Think about it. Why would you be worried about Black people getting out and voting, or they try to repeal our right to vote? They try to suppress our vote. They've tried everything to keep us from voting since we got the right to vote. They started out with poll taxes back in the day when we first got the right to vote. What they would do was you had to have a certain amount of money to be able to go and vote. And they knew back then, fresh out of slavery, Black people had no money. We were never paid a living wage, so we didn't have enough money to save up any money or to have any property or anything to be able to pay or commit to a poll tax. So that was one of the first ways they tried to suppress our vote. Then after that, they had the literacy tests that they tried to use against us. They have had all types of ways to suppress the Black and brown vote ever since we've had the right to vote. So if it's that important to them to try to get rid of us in the political game, then why do we choose to just take ourselves out of the game? You gotta think about it. If somebody don't want you to do something, then it must be a reason why they don't want you to do it. Because they know the power that you have if you ever figure out how to really do it effectively. And that's the thing, as Black voters, we don't work effectively and make our voices heard. That's why our issues are never addressed in any political atmosphere, because they know that Black people are not consistent and persistent with their protests, their coming together on issues. We suppress each other. We suppress ourselves. We suppress our communities. We just do so much adverse things to ourselves that white people have basically put it on cruise control to, contain the hood, as they say. Our our situations are contained, and it's been put on autopilot since the Jim Crow slave era. And we perpetuate that in so many different ways in our own communities. And one of them is I'm not going out and vote because our vote don't count anyway. That is the craziest thing I've ever heard. How in the world can you figure your vote don't count when so hard they try to keep us from voting and keep us out of the political game? But I can say this: I am so proud of the state of Texas showing up and showing out for the early voting this year. They said that as of yesterday, which ended early voting, there was more people early voted this year than in an entire general election last time in 2016 in the state of Texas. So that lets me know that people are taking it serious this year, and we are showing up in groves and getting out and voting. People, everybody has gotten registered, made a conscious effort to register themselves, and we are showing up and making our voices heard. Now, let me tell you what's happening. That is making the political climate very, very nervous about the outcome of this election, because there's so many people who still blindly and crazily support Donald Trump and what he's done. Donald Trump had the nerve enough to get on TV and say that he's done more for the black community in his 4 years of presidential business than any other president in the history of the United States. Now, he's saying he's done more for us than President Lincoln, and Lincoln freed the slaves. So I don't know what he's talking about. If anything, he's done little to nothing to affect black people's agendas. Donald Trump has tried to revise every social program and anything that he thinks helps or initiates anything to help black folks in business, in health, in economics, in anything. He tries to diminish it, repeal it, and get it off the books. He has, man, this man has really, really been the most divisive. Now, if anything, I can say this: he has been the most divisive president I've ever seen in office in my lifetime. And I'm 51 years old. I've seen a lot of presidents in my lifetime. There's been a lot of terms that have been, I've witnessed throughout my years as a young man and up to thus far. And I have never seen a president get on TV or get out in a political forum and use the divisive words that Donald Trump's used, and the rhetoric that he uses, the propaganda that he pushes, and the blatant and overzealous racial undertones that he pushes out, for the United States. This man literally got on television and said that there were some white supremacist groups. He told them to stand back and stand by. Stand back and stand by is what he said. Now, if that doesn't sound like a call to arms, to saying, hey, man, hold on, just sit still right now, and let's see what happens first before we go into action. But, when you have that type of rhetoric coming from a political leader of the free world, you have to understand that there are a lot of extremists out there who are sitting back and waiting just for any hint or glimpse of a word say go, and they are going to go to the extreme. We have a lot of, they talk about international terrorists, but we have a lot of domestic terrorists here in the United States as well. These skinhead groups, these racist, militant groups, these KKKs, these just all types of, white supremacist groups out there that can't wait to start a race war. And they're waiting and sitting back looking at Donald Trump and his rhetoric as the leadership for the initiation of this. But the thing is, I don't want a race war as a black man in the United States, and I don't think they want one right now, because I don't think that it's going to turn out the way that they think it might. Because there are a lot of brothers in these streets who have some military arsenals out there. You know, we don't have our guns registered, and we didn't buy ours from Walmart and Carter Country and, you know, Bass Pro Shops. We got ours, you know, down the street from Willie and them. So you don't understand the type of arsenal that some of these brothers in these neighborhoods have, and we don't have a problem sharing them. And I know if it comes down to it, I am going to protect me and mine. So I don't know if they really want what they think they want. You know, I know they go out and buy, you know, they buy, you know, a gun case full of guns. But the thing about it, you can only shoot one of them at a time. So, I mean, I don't know what to tell you and what's going to happen with the rest of them. But, you know, in the old Wild Wild West, a lot of gunfighters died with their guns still in the holster. So, you know, it doesn't matter if you got one, it's whether or not you prepared to use it or lose it. You know what I'm saying? So I don't think that and the thing about it is Black America is really, really getting fed up, because we have tried all the peaceful protests. We have tried all the sit-ins, stand-ins, lay-ins, you know, marching. You know, we've done it all, and still nothing has come to pass. So it's inevitable for this powder keg to blow. And I'm hoping it doesn't blow in my lifetime, because I don't want to see the carnage that's going to be revealed, you know, at the time that it happens. So I just, you know, hope that we get out and use our political voice and get some things changed, and maybe it will change the climate of the United States, because we have a lot at stake right now. We have a lot of issues about health. We have a lot of issues about justice. We have a lot of issues about police brutality. We have a lot of issues about money allotment in these different cities for programs and issues that affect Black America that have not been addressed in the last 4 years. But we need to get out and make our voice heard, so that we can get some type of balance back to the United States. Obama didn't do everything that we thought he should have done for the Black America, but he did everything that he could do, because we as Black Americans gave Obama a second term, but we did not give him the help and the support on the ballot with the House and the Senate that he needed to get a lot of his issues passed, because the president is only really a figurehead, and he can ultimately veto or let a bill pass, but the real power is in the House and the Senate. And if you have a House and a Senate that is blocking everything that you put out there as a bill to propose to help Black America, then you are not going to get anything passed, because they're going to shoot it down before it even makes it back to your desk. So before it makes it back to your desk, before your final say so, it's already been shot down. It doesn't even have the power to get back to your desk. So we have to understand the political game that they play, and the lobbying that goes on, and the good old boy network that we fight against. We have to learn to play the game properly if we ever want to win it. But the first thing we have to do is get out and make our voice heard, and let them understand that we will not be silenced anymore. We will not be swept under the rug. We will not be that lump under that rug. We want to come out. We want our vision to be seen, our words to be heard, our policies to be recognized and implemented. So we need to get out and vote. You know, November the 3rd is this coming Tuesday, and I'm hoping for a record turnout, because I know, you know, sometimes we sit back and relax and don't take advantage of early voting, but let's make sure that we do vote and make our voice heard throughout this political process. That's all I want to say about that. But like I said, because it's coming up on the 3rd, it would be remiss for me not to mention that and just say, hey man, let's get out and do it. Let's show up and show out in record numbers. Take a friend to the poll with you if you have to. If they need a ride, don't hesitate. We need, as Black America, we need to start asking one another, have you voted yet, brother? Have you voted yet, sister? If not, then let me get, if you need a ride to the poll, I'm going Tuesday. I'll take you with me where you live. I'll come pick you up, whatever. Because let me tell you something, they've even, at one time in the United States, they have had where it was illegal for Black people to give other Black people rides to the polls. They even had a boycott in Montgomery where they got mad because Black people with cars were picking up Black folks that were boycotting the bus line and taking them to work and to other places. And they passed an immediate law to make that illegal for other Blacks to give Blacks rides instead of using the bus line. That is the craziest thing. Like I said, we have to understand the game that we are playing and the enemy that we are facing. We are facing a notorious criminal in white America. And that criminal has been criminalizing and demonizing Black folks since we stepped foot off of the slave ships. And we have to understand that until we deal with this problem, see the problem for what it really is, and take steps to negate or to minimize this problem, it's going to continue to fester in the United States. We have a president in there like no other I have ever seen. And I'm really, really afraid for America if he gets another 4 years. Because if he gets another 4 years, the entire Supreme Court will be turned completely around. We will have probably one of the worst Supreme Courts in history. And, the Supreme Court, whether you know it or not, is the greatest court in our land. And their rulings govern how all smaller courts are handled. So we need to understand that, our not getting out and voting can ruin the next 40 years of America. And I probably won't be here, in the next 40 years, but my kids and my grandkids will still be here. And I don't know what kind of America you want to leave them. If you want to leave one worse than what it is now or something, we always want something better for our kids and our grandkids. So let's get out and make the legacy this Tuesday to make a better United States. His mantra was, MAGA, as they call it, make America great again. But I want you to really sit and think, when has America ever been great for the Black man? When has it ever been great for us? I don't think when he said that alone, just him saying that alone lets me know that he had no Black people or brown people in mind when he said that. What he was talking about was make white America great again, which was when we were slaves, when they had free labor, when they could treat us like less than human, and we were locked up and thrown away. They threw away the key, and you would go down there for a minimum crime and end up with the maximum time for it every time. So that, like I said, that statement alone let me know that he did not mean us when he said, let's make America great again. So enough of talking about Donald Trump. We could talk about that idiot for the next 4 years after he's gone. I feel free for people to call in and let's talk about him. I have no problem with that, but I want to move on to some other topics. I talked about this earlier this week when I was dealing with my Facebook, agenda. I talked about the fact that we have people in our lives who we try to help, as family members or friends or whatnot. And I just have experienced it, and I've seen it firsthand, people helping other people even through their struggle. As a as a Black American, I don't have the best of everything. I'm not bad off, but I'm not well off either. But I have no problem helping people. And I see so many people that get help from other people and they do not even acknowledge the help or simply say thank you for the help. You know, when somebody helps you out of their own struggle, that's not a helping hand. That's actually love. And you know, love is a powerful thing, and it should be appreciated by everyone. If I'm hurting and you're hurting, but I still help you through my hurt, then let me tell you something. That only comes from a person that loves you, that cares about your well-being. And we need to understand people like that. You know, we don't need to take advantage of those people. We don't need to overstep with those people. We don't need to diminish what those people do in your lives. You need to acknowledge it and be thankful for it and prayerful about it. Because the thing is, no one has to do anything for you, you know, and when someone does something for you, they're actually doing it out of love. Even if they have a bounty, they still most of the time are doing it out of love. But you know, we have a tendency through our own selfishness not to simply acknowledge that. We don't even acknowledge God in our lives a lot of times anymore. We you know, as my wife preached this past Sunday about us panhandling God, and I was like, what? Panhandling God? She says, yeah, we simply ask him for a little change. We don't really ask him for the things or the changes in our life that we really, really need and the things that heal us. We just want a quick fix and hold our little cup out and shake it and rattle it like they do on those curves. Everybody, I know all y'all seen it before. On those curves, you see them guys standing out there at 5:30 in the morning, 6 o'clock, rattling the cup. If you can sit out there at 5:30, 6 o'clock, rattling the cup, you can get up and get yourself together and go get a job and work somewhere, because there are jobs that start at 5:30 and 6. So I don't understand people like that. But the thing is, we have to understand that the world takes all kinds to make it turn, I guess. But the fact about it is, we need to quit panhandling our friends, panhandling God, like my wife talked about, because it is not conducive to the betterment of yourself or to our society. We have so many different people and problems in our Black community that we need to solve first before we look to any politician, any government leader, any mayor, any lawyer, anybody to fix. We need to get ourselves together and discuss and work on a agenda to heal some of the sickness that's in our own Black community. And we have a lot of it that we don't like to talk about, but we don't want anybody else talking about it either. But we want to help with it, so we say. But the thing about it is, I always say, it's hard to get well if you don't even think you're sick. And a lot of things that we do in our society, we don't think that we're sick, evidently, because we don't do anything. We just bring it up, talk about it, and let it go, and go right back to doing it. I mean, we have issues in families that we try to hide and don't talk about it. They end up festering and turning into something else. We have so many just guys in our community who take themselves out of the game. We end up addicted to drugs. We're addicted to, women. We're addicted to alcohol. We're addicted to just so many different social blights in our community that we don't deal with. And we need to get out as Black men and start policing ourselves and being accountable to each other, because that is the only way that we can get a grassroots program that will start to heal our society. Because like I said, we can't worry about politicians healing us. Tell you something, they can put Jesus in the White House, and if we don't accept Jesus and start fixing some of our own things in our lives, he won't be able to do nothing for us either, because he gives us the opportunity right now to choose him, and we don't. So even if we went and voted him in, I don't think, and didn't choose him, we still wouldn't be no further than what we are nowadays. So, you know, it's just, we got to change. We got to bring about a change in our own community. And the best way to change is from within. You know, we are almost, I'd say, crazy if we think that someone from the outside is going to help us change our community, because we look to public schooling to educate our kids, and we think that the oppressor is going to educate the oppressed enough to bring him out of his plight. It's not going to ever happen. They will never educate our children enough to where we can compete with their kids and be on a level playing ground. That is almost crazy for us to even think that as Black America. We have been second, third, and fourth rated educations when it came to America teaching us anything. Even our, we had to start our own Black colleges because they were not going to educate the Negro in the, you know, predominantly white colleges. So that's where HBC, historically Black universities, came from. That's where your Tuskegees, your Hamptons, your you know, Alabama States, Alabama A&Ms, and Prairie Views, and all that grew out of this need for us to educate ourselves. You know, we had great leaders such as Booker T. Washington, you know, and all these other great educated Black men who were self-taught, who wanted to see Black Americans advance and knew that we could only advance through education. So they started these greatest Black institutes to educate, you know, the freed Black slaves, because they knew that education was one way that we can become and kind of help level the playing ground. You know, they knew that we weren't gonna make it economically if we were not already educated, because there's no way you can keep money if you don't understand money. And if you don't understand the power of money and how to get money and obtain it and to hold on to it and the actual power of monetary exchange, you will not be able to hold on to it. Even if you get it, you won't be able to hold on to it. I know that you've heard that old adage, a fool and his money is soon parted. That is one of the truest statements I've ever seen or ever heard. I've witnessed guys who, and we've all seen it on television. We've seen the stories of the, you know, the $1 million athletes, the $1 million lottery winners, and all of these different folks who have gained wealth quickly, but because they were not educated and had no know-how on how to deal with that money has left them and they were back in a destitute situation. So that alone shows you that that adage is very, very true. So we need to get ourselves together and get as much education and as much responsibility and accountability to one another as we can, so that we can help heal our Black community, because the onus of the Black community falls on the shoulders of the Black man. We are the stronghold of our Black community, and they know that. You know, I mean, you know, the white America knows that. That's why they try so many different ways to diminish the Black man's power in the United States. They want to first undereducate you. Then if they can't undereducate you, they want to over incarcerate you. You know, if they can't over incarcerate you, then they'll under what do they call it? They'll under employ you, underemploy you. Is that what that's their next step? They will underemploy you where you cannot significantly take care of a Black family unit. And then they know that once they underemploy you and you are economically at a disadvantage, then they know that your power in a household is diminished, because what they'll do is underemploy the Black man and overemploy the Black woman, so that there could be a divisiveness in that household, which they've done that time and time. They've done that since the early late 60s, early 70s. And believe me, it has worked, because what they did was negate the thought of the black man, black woman household. You know, once the black woman became the breadwinner of the house, she also became the say-so of the house. And there are not a lot of men who are going to stick around in a household where they have no say-so. And it's just not the order that God put on, the mandate that God put on for a marriage in a household. And it's just not the natural mandate that a man can take, you know, being subservient and being hushed in his own household. We just can't take that. That we're just not built that way. But there are so many elements out there that diminish the black man, and we diminish ourselves a lot of times as well. We will get hooked on liquor, we'll get hooked on drugs, we'll get hooked on women, you know, and we get hooked on stupidity, just wanting to hang out in the streets and be nothing. We get hooked on so many different things that will nullify and negate us and our power in our households. And next thing you know, those households are full of chaos, confusion, and the enemy has walked in and destroyed that household. And next thing we'll do, we'll move on to another household. Then we'll make another broken household over and over again. We repeat this cycle. That's how we have so many black single mothers out here trying to raise complete families by themselves that they did not make by themselves. But because we have taken ourselves out of the game, we have left a household without a leader. We have left a family without a leader. So when that happens, that's why we have so many broken families, and from broken families come broken people. And all it does is, you know, multiply our community, but it is also multiplying the chaos and the confusion in our community. And we got to get away from that. We have let this thing fester on for decade after decade without addressing it. And it's gotten to a point where it's almost feels like we cannot reverse it. But let me tell you something. That's a lie. That's the trick of the enemy, want you to think that you've gone too far away, that you cannot turn it around. But the thing is, with education, guidance, and the true power of God, we can change our community completely. We need to get back to the old ways of, I mean, slavery taught us one thing, how to persevere and get by with the help of God. And that's the one good thing that I can say came out of slavery. But the thing is, they taught us too much other stuff that helped us get away from the thoughts of God and the guidance of the kingdom. So we need to get back to that type of education, that type of living, those type of households, that type of building in our families, that type of building in our communities. And it starts household by household. And so I'm just going to put a mandate out there for the black men in America to get back to your house and start controlling and molding your household. Start putting your power in that household. Not just your voice power, but also your economic power. Get out there and work. Bust your butt for them kids. Bust your butt for that lady. Take care of her. Take care of that house. You got to get out here and make yourself economically viable in the United States so that you can have what they call a living wage and can help support and build a economically sound family. You know, because without the finance in a house will fall apart. I mean, there's no easy way around it. There has to be an economic source and some economic power in a household for it to survive, for it to thrive, for it not to diminish, for it not to crumble. We have to have some type of economics in that household, but to gain that economic, you have to be a suitable worker. Someone that can get out there and get a job and secure a job and keep a job that gives you a living wage and has health protection, has, you know, there's so many different aspects to a household. And we get away from that, and we don't think about that. And we think that women are just supposed to put up with us because we are who we are. Nah, that's not it, brother. No one has to put up with you because who you are. Because let me tell you something. Black women have we have been so absent for so long that the black woman has learned how to do it by herself. And if you're just going to be another burden around there, guess what? She would rather do it by herself. And I can't fault her for that. And if you really think about it logically, you can't either. So we need to get back to making ourselves a viable part of our black community, a important part, a stronghold in the black community. We need to be what our black community needs and be accountable to each other, one another, and to ourselves, you know, and be accountable to the kids that you've made, the woman that you've chosen to make these kids with. Be accountable to them. Be responsible. Be an integral part of the raising of these children. And the word integral is a derivative, and it has the root of integrity, the same root that integrity has. And integrity is just simply a man who does what he's supposed to do even when no one is looking. And we need to get back to that spirit as being a black man. We need to quit trying to cut corners and get over on everybody and get past one another and downplay each other and work against each other. We need to start working with one another. But the only way that you can work with one another is to be brothers of integrity with one another. You know, if your word is your word, then make it happen. If you say you're going to do it, say you're going to do it. If you say you're not going to do it, then don't do it. That's just all it is. Let your yes be a yes and your no be your no. And that's what a grown man does. You know, so, you know, like I said, we have had a wonderful week this week. My wife and I, we have gotten out. We've made some moves that we think are you know, long-term goals that are going to be reached through these integral little moves that we've made. And I'm just so proud of her and myself for the things that we do in our community, you know, just the things that we do as far as helping other people. You know, she has shown me a completely different way of looking at life, and I am so thankful for it. She doesn't know that, but, you know, she'll see it on the show. But, you know, I just wanted to, you know, want to say that to you brothers who are out there trying to figure it out, find a woman that can help you figure it out. You know, you don't want one that she thinks she's already figured it out, you know, and you're going to do it her way. No, that's not how it works at all. You need to find a woman who is willing to be led by someone who wants to lead, and someone who, first of all, you need to be a brother who is led by the ultimate leader, which is Jesus Christ, and have them be the head of your life in anything that you're doing. Then and only then will you be able to make sound decisions and have the power of discernment. You know, you have to have discernment in all that you do in order to guide a household, because it does no longer just affects you. It affects everybody in that household. So you have to be led by a higher power than just yourself. And, you know, I want to be thankful that my wife helped guide me to that higher power as well. You know, I always knew Christ and Jesus all my life, but I was not as into the church, or the church was not as into me, let me put it that way, as I am nowadays. I always sat in the back of the church somewhere. I was in there. I was in the choir stand sometime. I was, you know, wherever I needed to be, but it wasn't in me. But now it's in me, and with that, better decisions are in me, because I've been from the university to the penitentiary, you know, and everything in between. So, you know, I tell people all the time, you got to find a different route if you want a different outcome. You know, so we sit back, we relax, and we just do the work that is required of us. You know, we are responsible to one another, and we try to be responsible to our entire community and our household, as well as our kids and everything. So responsibility is the key, fellas, and I want us to take that back, you know, and start being responsible and accountable to one another. So, you know, this show is not going to last long. I just wanted to get out here and say a quick word about us getting out and vote. And that's pretty much what we need to do. Let's get out and vote. Let's get out and take back our families. Let's get out and get this community back on the right track. So remember, I don't care who you vote for, but make sure your voice is heard. So let's get out this Tuesday and let's make it happen, baby.
Hey, this is JD of JD's Mancave, coming at you again tonight on a big old Saturday night. We want to thank y'all for tuning in. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the ride.